Hello everyone and welcome to the daily / weekly race guide. This is number 25, although I haven't done 25 episodes yet. We started in the middle of the year, just to get that disclaimer out there. And we have 3 very interesting races for you. We have race Z, yes that was Z, or Z, however you want to call it, based on the cars that are selected for you in that race. We then have race B and race C, of course, which is group 3 and group 4. So without further ado, let's jump straight into that race Z and let's look at it in a bit more detail. Welcome then to Tokyo and the South Inner Loop. This is my favourite actual layout of the Tokyo expressways because there's no weird chicanes. You can literally go flat out racing here and not worry about a sausage chucking you into a barrier. Now in terms of the race, it is 3 laps in length. It is a grid start and you will need traction control for the grid start. And we are using sports hard tyres. Now, we're not only in Tokyo, Japan in terms of the track, we are going full Japanese here in terms of the cars as well. Now, I called it Race Z, or Z, and that's because we're racing in them. So first off, the 3 cars, we have the Fairlady Z Version S Z33, otherwise known as the 350Z. We then have the Gredi Fugu Z, otherwise known on this channel as Fugu Frenzy. That seems to be starting early. And then finally we have the Fairlady Z 300ZX Twin Turbo. So 3 awesome cars there. Let's jump to the race and I'll talk you through some little tips and tricks. So here we are at the start. Of course, use traction control. And you notice we are in the Gredi Fugu Z. That is the car of choice at the moment. There is one Fairlady in here as well. I didn't see any of the twin turbos. But I have seen other people using the twin turbos. I'm not sure which is fastest. And the time trial, the Gredi Fugu Z is the fastest. So obviously coming into turn 1, a grid start is going to be a bit chaotic. This race seemed quite clean to be honest in terms of turn 1. But you know what's going to come up here in terms of the docks. Now, I always say stay on the inside when you have a corner like this. This guy keeps pushing me over to the right, even though I'm there. I know he was trying to avoid someone, but even so, I don't push someone else into the wall. Stay on the inside here. I brake really early here. And you notice I'm just judging my braking accordingly. I get a slight tap from behind. Someone just misjudging it further behind there. But look, everybody's just gone to Narnia here. And everyone's just going to really mess up. So be very, very careful. Get on the inside. Even if you have to lift just to get on the inside, get on the inside, because you can see how many positions I made straight off the bat there. Get on the inside to stay safe and then continue your race. Remember, you can lose everything on that corner, really fall to the back of the grid, or you can gain like I did. Stay on the inside, brake early. I broke 190 meters and go from there. Now what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to show you a full lap here because I actually have a fantastic race here with Fab, okay? Absolutely brilliant race. I was surprised I was having this sort of race. Obviously, I do these races with no practice, so to have a good race like this is all good. Now, for the first corner, you want to brake about 20 meters before the shadow starts. I'm in 3rd gear there. Balance the throttle and then leave the first corner. In terms of brake balance, by the way, -3 is what I had it on. You might want to go to -4. It just helps with braking efficiency, especially if you don't want to overlay. Now, you can see slipstream is a big factor here, so it's going to come on the inside here. Brake here around 180 meters and you can see him braking there. He stops it perfectly and I'm going to follow behind. You don't want to go to the outside there. Lots of marbles, lots of dirty tyres there. Now what I tend to do on this corner is shift to 3rd fairly early, avoid cutting that too much, and the 3rd just bounces the car that little bit more there. See Fab, a little bit of oversteer there by Fab. Instead we had a bit of a smoother run there. Now going around on the outside here, never good here. So I dropped to 3rd gear. I was a bit unsure with this corner. This one I was a bit unsure. I need practice really for that corner. 3rd or 4th gear, it's close. I dropped to 3rd in that situation here. And then we've got the big long run all the way to the hairpin now. Now this right-hander, you got to be careful. You got to take it right, flat out. You can do it. If you don't take it right, you're going to be in that wall there. Now, what is critical here? You see, I lifted here. I'm preparing my attack. But you've got to be careful. If you've got slipstream all the way to here, you're going to have to lift for this corner. I made that mistake earlier on in the race. Now, coming into this braking zone, you're going to brake around 170 meters. Do you see the 200? And you brake there, 170, 160 meters. And notice how I was overlaying a little bit there coming into here. So, in terms of the defense, by the way, I knew what Fab was going to do. He broke early, then let off the brakes a little bit to make sure he kept it. Just missed the apex slightly, which is why I went for that, then the cutback rather than trying to go around the outside. So, we're heading up here now. This is where it requires smooth driving, okay? You've got to be very smooth. Smooth operator! Remember that from Mikhail. So, 4th gear here. I'm just balancing the throttle. You don't want to be braking here. And then I'm just going to lift and balance the throttle a little bit more. Then drop to 3rd gear because now the revs are getting a bit too low. come through here as we head towards the left. Now, it's around the 50, you're going to brake. You notice he's gone on the inside, so I give him just enough room there. And what superb driving. Honestly, that's shout out for that, because most situations in top splits, you're going to end up in the barrier if you're on the outside. So superb driving there, mate. Absolutely superb. But that's going to be it in terms of that race. Hopefully that helps you a little bit. You can see race B there. Let's head towards that now, and it's going to be Mount Panorama and Group 3. Welcome to the mountain. The mountain in all of the motorsport world. It is Bathurst, Mount Panorama, and we are here with race B. So what are the race details? Well, first of all, there are 3 laps in this race. It's a rolling start. You are going to have to be careful of that last corner potentially, so you might need traction control, you might not, depending on where you start. And we are on racing hard tyres. Now, in terms of the machinery, it is Group 3, of course. We've got GT3 racing on the mountain. 3 laps, so it's not very much. Now, in terms of the cars, that at the moment are literally on the leaderboard, the highest car is the BMW M6. Now, that is obviously a good car. Obviously, it won in Sydney as well, so it's very suited to this circuit. I have an alternative car as well, so if you're struggling with the rear end of these FR cars or even the MR cars, then pick the FMR car, the combination of the both. The AMG GT3 car, it's very stable up and down the mountain, and that is what I'm going to use in the race. So let's jump to that now, and I'll talk you through a few tricks and tips. So here we are. I always show you the grid in Group 3 because, as I say, normally it's just bring what you like. As you can see, lots of Aston Martin V12 Vantages in here. Mixture of AMGs in there. We've got a Viper. A mixture of all sorts, to be honest with you. But you can see how the more power cars are being brought into this race. And that's mainly because of Conrod Straight, isn't it? And the run up to turn 2 as well. Literally, there's 2 very fast straights there. So a power car is going to benefit. With it being FR cars as well, they're going to benefit downhill, having the weight over the front, so hopefully the rear shouldn't come out as much. They're just going to struggle with acceleration in terms of rear tyres if you do pick an FR car. Here we're in an FMR car. As you can see, we're not starting on the corner, so I don't use traction control here. That was about P11, P10, P11 start on the corner. So if you're starting in those positions, whack traction control on 1, just give yourself a bit of a safety net there. Heading towards turn 1, of course, on the right hand side, you've got the cones there, but there's a guy on the side who's more close to the barrier. That's always been my brake marker when I'm at Bathurst. Just a little FYI, little sneaky tip there. We're going to head down towards turn 2 now. There's always going to be action at turn 2, especially on the first lap, and I was always expecting it anyway. One thing I would suggest is if you hit somebody, get round the corner first before you just stop. You're going to see the driver in front, he hits somebody and just keeps braking. Don't just keep braking. Get round the corner, then let off and let the guy in front continue. Obviously, I'm impacted there. I still carry on because it's not my fault. So we just continue racing all the same. Now, coming up to here, be careful of overshooting this and heading on the right hand side. We got hit from behind again there. So he decides to leave. I'm assuming he just felt like he was just causing mayhem, so he left. I wouldn't leave if I was you. I would just make sure you just stay back a bit and try and learn the circuit a little bit more. But anyway, yeah, when you come up to that sharp left, just be careful. It's always better to brake early. Get in there, just half brake, and make sure you just stay in the middle of the circuit. Going over the top of the hill, actually heading down the hill now, this is where it gets sketchy. You're going to see a lot of overlaying here. You notice the half brake and throttle in there as well. That's also, I'm doing that a bit more than I should be because I've got a driver in front of me who's struggling a little bit there, so that's why. You're not going to see runs down into Forest Elbow here, so just be careful if somebody does go for the dive. You'll see a lot of people making mistakes there, mainly because the rear will come out on itself. The best thing to do for Forest Elbow is to overlay, which overlay means you are braking with a little bit of throttle. Now, as you can see down this straight here, this is where the critical factor of a power car exists. Slipstream is a big factor. This is where most overtakes are going to happen. You can see I'm easily past there as we head towards this left-hander. And you're going to brake on the V after the 150 meter board. That's where I normally brake. I was a little bit deep there just because of the slipstream, but that's where you normally brake. And you can see this BMW, fair play, out the way, had its own accident. I'm not sure whether he knocked off or anything, but let me go. Last corner, there's a tree there. That's what I use. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to advance towards the last lap and just show you a few little no-nos. Please don't do some of this stuff and other stuff that you will see. So obviously, always at this corner, you run slightly wide, you're going to have a problem here. Unfortunately, Royal Warhorse just pulls to the right. I've got nowhere to go, so I hit Royal Warhorse. A bit annoying, really, but even so, we continue racing as we head up to this left-hander. So we're going to see this Aston Martin. This is the DBR9, of course, not the Vantage, which is the more prominent car in this combo. You're going to see it struggle a little bit here. Heading up over the hill now. and we've just got to sit behind here. There's nowhere to overtake, and this is why I'm showing this. Now, he does make a mistake here. You are going to see some people, if someone makes a mistake there, dive down the inside here, and it's going to be a crash. Please do not be one of those people who dives down the inside. Notice how I back out of it? There's not a chance in a month of Sundays you're going to make a move there, and everybody's going to survive. Don't do it. As we come down here, you're going to see again, look how close we are here. Can't really do much here. Sit behind as we head towards Forest Elbow. You notice how I brake early just before the right. That just obviously slows the car down a little bit, and then we can come in on the left. You notice how Jordan there, the rear came out, so he actually lost out on the exit, and it's better to have a better exit. He just come across a little bit here. Not sure what was happening there. Obviously on the radar you will have seen me there, and we're going to come back into the slipstream now because he had slipstream. I can't overtake there, so he gets the power and continues on racing. So as you head towards this left-hander, do not move in the braking zone like he does here. Watch this. It moves left. Don't move left. Why move left? I have no idea. That's why I hit him there. I can't do anything. He moves left in the braking zone. So at this point, I knew exactly what was going to happen. Remember, the tree on the right side is your brake marker. I knew exactly what was going to happen. I brake early because I knew it was going to happen. Carnage into the last corner. Get a couple of positions. If you see that on your race, do the same. That's what I would recommend. But that's it for race B. Too short in my opinion. I didn't really like this race. Not really a chance to overtake. Let's jump to race C now, and let's have a look at Sardinia A2. Welcome then once again to Italy and race C. Now Sardinia A forward is far easier than it is in reverse, and we are doing it in reverse today. So just to give you a bit of info in terms of the race details before we jump into the cars, and then I'll talk about why it's so difficult. Race C is 10 laps in length. It's a rolling start, but you don't need traction control here. It's just set off, flat out, off you go. And we are on racing hard tyres once again. Fuel usage is ×3. You don't need to worry about fuel in this race. I was very unsure at the start, and you will see that when I show you the race. Tyre wear is ×5, so it's just a flat out sprint race here in terms of race C. Now, this is Group 4, and we know recently Group 4 has been dominated by FF cars. And don't get me wrong, they're still going to be very, very fast at this circuit because they have to be fast over one lap in terms of making sure they can survive the tyre wear. However, this race actually allows other cars to come into play. So let's look at some alternatives to the FFs. First of all, top of the leaderboard at the moment as I'm filming this, the Nissan GTR Group 4 car. Nice to see, four-wheel drive and able to race there. Alternative to that, we'll go to an MR, and that is the Ferrari 458 Group 4. Yes, we have a Ferrari in there as well that you can choose alternatively to the GTR or any of the front-wheel drive cars. It appears to me that you can pick a lot more cars here now to race in Group 4, so happy days. That bop seems to have done its job. So let's jump to that race now, and let's show you through some tips and tricks. So here we are at the start. Now, because Group 4 seems to be a bit more balanced at this circuit, yeah, I'm showing you the grid because you see a mixture of FFs. We've got a Huracan in there. I'm in a Huracan. I'll explain that in a second. 650S. We've got a Lexus in there, a Viper. We got the works in there. So it's kind of nice. We've got quite a varied grid for a Group 4 race, I would say. So especially in dailies. So why am I in the Huracan? Because this account couldn't afford the GTR, and this was the next four-wheel drive car along. So I picked the Huracan. It's actually not the best car for this circuit, but it can still race. So obviously, as I said at the start, you do not need to worry about traction as you start here. Maybe in a front-wheel drive car you might. You just have to flick up to second, but generally in most cars you're not going to have to worry. Now, on this circuit, we have a new dangerous corner. I said, why is this harder at the very start? You're about to see why. This first corner is an absolute insane corner. I think it's worse than the chicane of death, to be honest with you. Coming through here, you see someone run wide. Bow! They get ploughed into the barrier. You see somebody else also got hit there. So you can see it's quite a sketchy corner as the Ferrari just runs a little bit deep there. That was a mistake. Obviously, you could quite clearly see that was a mistake by NATO, and he backs out of it as well. So, you know, fair play. Good sportsmanship there. Realised the mistake, backs out of it. So we're going to continue on through this lap. I'm just showing you some areas here, do's and don'ts. So the first corner, obviously, beware of that corner. You know, lift, be cautious. So we head up here. You've got to be cautious here as well. There's going to be a lot of dives into this corner. You brake before the left there, and you've got to get it turned. And now this race is a little bit about slipstream, okay? There's a lot of fast straight areas. We've got this back straight here, very long acceleration period. We've got the start finish straight, which is even longer. So if you're not in slipstream, you're going to struggle to catch up to the cars in front. So you can see already, like the FFs at the start of the race are going to be very strong, okay? FF cars at the start of the race are always going to be strong as we come into this right-hander. Very hard right-hander to get right. I'll explain my brake marker in a little bit as we continue through that corner now. You can see it's side-by-side action. penalties are quite common here. You'll see a number of penalties throughout this race for contact. So again, be careful. And now there was a picture posted in my Discord, I think it was, or it was on Twitter. I can't remember where I saw it. Somebody lost 55,000 driver rating. So be careful when you race. Just try and be cautious wherever you can. Try and make sure you stay out of the sticky situations as we come into this left. This is a hard corner as well. It's a very hard circuit, this in reverse, I've got to say. So take it with a pinch of salt in terms of do lots of practice. If you do get hit, take it with a pinch of salt because it might not necessarily be somebody's fault. Now, obviously, I'm going to show you some more depth at this first corner, to be honest with you. As I say, this is a deadly corner, and you're about to see why once again as we head there. You can see I'm still trying to learn it. Remember, I come into these races without any practice, and the TT in front of me just... Another kill, and Smith there, unfortunately, I think has been hit by that corner as well. It's a very deadly corner because that barrier just comes at you from nowhere and you have to take it very fast. The minute you get a little bit of understeer, you're off, you're gone. So let's advance a bit further on now, and I'm going to show you a bit more carnage here. I'm racing Berto Dave at the moment, and Smith just ahead there. We've got a TT fighting with the RCZ there of Manu Gas as we come through this right-hander. There's a couple of fast guys that are trying to come through the field. This race, you can have a good race, you know, I will put it out there. You can have a brilliant race. I actually found this the most fun. Other people didn't. And you can see a big accident happening there. A bit of a tag between two drivers. A bit of a carnage. So we do a Moses maneuver through a corner there. Happy days with that one. But unfortunately, Smith gets a penalty from that as well. So you can see how little bits of contact can cause big accidents, especially on this circuit, because you'll get dirty tyres as we continue on now. And Diglett's in this race. You know, remember Party Diglett from last time at Monza? Diglett's in this race. Unfortunately, he's about to become another victim once again as he goes into the barrier. Poor Diglett. He's not having a party this week, that is for sure. Sorry to see Diglett, but it's nice that you had a laugh about that in the last video as well. So shout out to you. Berto Dave there runs a little bit wide. Be careful of that, because if you run wide there, it's very difficult for the next corner as well. I was even a victim of that later on in the race, but I'm not showing you that because it's a bit boring. And I want to show you this. So obviously towards the end of a race, the FF cars are going to start to struggle with their tyre wear, and this is where the balance of performance really works, because up ahead you can see an absolutely fantastic battle happening there. There's a Ferrari, there's RCZ, there's a TT in there. Unfortunately, there's going to be an incident once again, a little bit of tagging. You know the pinball physics that we have in this game. Unfortunately, a TT is going to go off there. I think it was to a Ferrari as well. As we come into this right-hander. So obviously I'm going to try and come up the inside here, just trying to avoid him as best as possible, and I do that. But you can see, massive battle up ahead, so it's kind of nice to see. As I say, normally you normally have one dominant car in Group 4 and that is it, but it appears the balance performance is coming closer. It will never be perfect, right? I'll put that out there right now. Now in terms of this first corner, you're going to see me do it properly this time. Notice I use a bit more of the circuit. I'm braking and turning just before it goes to that darker grey, and I just make it. I just avoid becoming a victim. I brake there in the gap in the wall. That is your brake marker on the right hand side. As we come to this right-hander now, see we're getting very close to this battle, very, very close as we continue on now. So this next corner is just a slight lift I found. If you can nail it properly, it's very hard to do, but the cone is perfect there. Lift, turn in, we just get it right. Manu Gas doesn't, because he was side by side with somebody else. We're going to go for the move down the inside now, and this is a lovely bit of acceleration and a move through the left. You've got to be careful then, being on the right hand side, but we get it stopped just in time. You need to be slightly sort of lift and brake as straight as possible when we enter that corner. So now we've got the long straight here. Obviously the RCZ going to be going very fast behind me. Its initial acceleration is always going to be powerful. It's a very fast car. It's very light now, of course, as well. That helps the tyre wear. It's not as powerful and nuclear as it used to be. Let's just put that out there as we come through this left. And the brake marker here is the marshals there on the left. I forgot to mention that previous. The marshals on the left there, your brake marker, and we accelerate through this corner. It's very hard to judge when to accelerate. Now I got a bit confused with Tenor here because he goes to the right here. And it goes to the left, and it keeps closing it. Look, it keeps closing it, and then a slight touch there. So I'm trying to back out of it at this point, make sure he doesn't lose a spot, and I don't lose a spot, so we can continue racing for the final bit. So we continue on. And we're going to head towards this right-hander. Obviously, you can see all sorts of action up ahead as well. So you can see how nice of a fight it is for a change. In Group 4, we've got all sorts here. Manu Gas tries to go down the inside here. We go to the left. You're going to brake at those cones if you're using the cones, or the end of the curb if you're not. And we're going to try and accelerate through here as we accelerate towards the line. Look at that, 3 wide up ahead. Now, I know the Peugeot's coming, and I'm trying to do stuff here, but I can't really do much. That Peugeot's initial acceleration is still good. Same with the TT as well. It's just going to get me there at the line. So well played with Manu Gas. And that is the end of that race. And that actually is one of my favourite races. I think race A is kind of nuclear because of the second corner at the docks. Race B is not long enough. I actually enjoyed this race. It was the most fun out of all three. You got to avoid penalties, of course. You can see a lot of red dots further down there. But that is going to be it in terms of this daily / weekly race guide once again. I hope you've enjoyed this. Slightly different format in terms of the race menu. There's lots more to come with that as well, so just keep an eye out. But I'd say thanks very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video or live stream.